Shocking new evidence has emerged regarding the mysterious disappearance of flight MH370, which could completely change everything. In the history of modern aviation, few disappearances have been as mysterious, haunting, and intensely captivating as that of Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. Of Malaysia Airlines in March 2014. There were 239 people on that flight. The flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing vanished abruptly without a trace, leaving behind a shroud of tragic mystery and countless questions that remain unanswered to this day. However, scientists have recently announced a breakthrough discovery that could completely change our understanding of this mysterious flight. However, what exactly is that astonishing discovery, and why is it so profoundly important? Join us as we delve into the latest updated information. Now, regarding the fate of flight MH370, please join us for today's video. Returning to the fateful night of March 7, 2014, at Kuala Lumpur International Airport. The Malaysia Airlines flight crew is preparing for the overnight flight to Beijing. Although departing late, the flight is expected to proceed smoothly with a flight time of 5 hours and 34 minutes, landing in the early morning of the following day. The captain was the first to arrive at 10:50 p.m., and the co-pilot showed up about 25 minutes later. A trainee in the process of transitioning from flying the Airbus A330 to the Boeing 777 was also present at the training session. This is an important training flight for you, marking the final step before entering the official flight test. Interestingly, this was the very first time these two pilots had been paired together to operate a flight. Perhaps that is precisely why the captain was present earlier than usual. A move to thoroughly review the co-pilot's records, ensuring everything is in perfect order. The weather in Kuala Lumpur is quite pleasant due to the influence of a subtropical high-pressure system, while Beijing has also not recorded any abnormal weather phenomena. The only concern is the strong jet stream along the flight path, which could cause air turbulence during the final phase of the journey. All preparations were complete, and they decided to load 49.1 tons of fuel, a sufficient amount for the 7-hour and 31-minute flight. With more than 2 hours to spare compared to the plan, this will undoubtedly be a pivotal decision in the upcoming developments. Although their experience and seniority differ, both share the same goal: completing a safe flight, conquering the night sky with professional pride. The flight carrying 239 people initially proceeded completely normally. At around 1 a.m., the plane quickly reached its cruising altitude of 10,668 meters. But just 20 minutes later, the strange incident occurred. At 1:07 a.m., the aircraft's data reporting system sent its final signal, and by 1:21 a.m., all contact was completely lost. The transponder, a device used to locate an aircraft, had abruptly stopped working as flight MH370 entered Vietnamese airspace. The final communication from the cockpit occurred at 1:19 a.m., a brief and gentle good-night wish. "Good night, Malaysia 370. After that farewell, the plane vanished from civilian radar screens. However, Malaysian military radar continued to track the aircraft's flight path until 2:22 a.m. The data indicates that MH370 unexpectedly changed course, turned back over the Malay Peninsula, then continued flying north through the Strait of Malacca and disappeared from radar screens over the Andaman Sea. Data from the AMASAT satellite in geostationary orbit over the Indian Ocean indicates that the aircraft continued to fly for several hours after disappearing from radar. The last signal was recorded at 8:11 a.m., indicating that MH370 had traveled a great distance, far beyond initial predictions. This information has expanded the search scope from the South China Sea to include the Malacca Strait, the Andaman Sea, and the southern Indian Ocean region. On March 24, 2014, Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak announced that satellite data analysis confirmed Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 had ended its journey in the southern Indian Ocean. This is a remote expanse of sea, located far from any land, and this location makes the possibility of survival virtually non-existent. Shortly thereafter, the search operation led by Australia, Malaysia, and China scoured over 120,000 square kilometers of the ocean floor but failed to locate any significant debris. By January 2017, the effort was forced to suspend, leaving the victims' families with endless grief and despair. In 2018, the Malaysian government continued the search by partnering with the private company Ocean Infinity, utilizing modern drone technology. However, by May 2018, all efforts had yielded no results. Countless theories were proposed, ranging from technical failure and terrorism to the possibility of pilot suicide. To this day, this disappearance remains an unsolved mystery. The Chinese government conducted thorough background checks on all Chinese passengers on the flight but found no signs of terrorism or violent activities. This tragedy became a turning point in aviation safety regulations, prompting a comprehensive upgrade of aircraft tracking and communication systems, particularly in remote flight areas. The search for Flight MH370 was an unprecedented operation, costing hundreds of millions of dollars and mobilizing vast financial and human resources from numerous countries and international organizations. In the relentless pursuit of discovery, an unexpected breakthrough finally emerged. In 2008, astrophysicist Joseph Horton Taylor began developing a software program named Weak Signal Precursor Reporter, abbreviated as VCAPSPR, is a tool designed for researching and monitoring weak-intensity radio signals. This protocol is not intended for tracking aircraft, but it opens up a very promising new direction. Taylor, the Nobel Prize-winning physicist in 1993, developed specialized computer software to analyze these signals. The passage provides in-depth analysis of how radio waves travel long distances and are scattered when encountering obstacles. This discovery unlocks unprecedented potential, as VCAPSPR can provide detailed data on a cycle every 2 minutes. It helps clarify many factors that were previously unforeseeable. Since 2021, scientists have begun analyzing this database to search for traces of Flight MH370. On August 31, 2023, the research team officially announced an extremely impressive discovery. The VCAPSPR data not only perfectly matched the information from the existing radar, but it also led researchers to a mysterious point deep within the forest. VAMPI is a hub for exceptionally unusual signals. What is truly compelling about this research is the relentless advancement of technology and analytical methods. VCAPSPR data is much like DNA in the early days of forensic science, becoming increasingly accurate and valuable. Thanks to algorithmic improvements and the development of analytical technology, the research team was able to construct an incredibly compelling narrative. The disappearance of Flight MH370 has opened a new avenue for deciphering the mysteries of world aviation history. At that time, data indicated the aircraft had changed its course westward after a route adjustment. Thereafter, its course ran parallel to the intended flight path, albeit slightly offset to the south. This difference may stem from the limited accuracy of the technology or radar. Specifically, when the radar was operating within its effective range, the aircraft continued flying in a northwest direction, along an arcing path from the starting point until 2:28 a.m. The subsequent data showed that the aircraft continued flying to a location called Stenop before turning left towards Odom. This action aligns with the experts' hypothesis that the aircraft may have intentionally flown in that manner to avoid detection by military radar systems, and additionally monitored by air traffic control. It is important to note that the VKFSPR data does not show a straight flight path south to the Indian Ocean. Instead, it presents a series of consecutive turning points. Each trip goes to a predetermined stop but does not follow a fixed route. This model indicates that the aircraft was still being actively controlled. Avoid established flight routes to prevent the risk of potential traffic conflicts. Please note that the aircraft does not have the capability to autonomously detect other vehicles. The collision avoidance system allows the driver to detect other vehicles even when they are not visible. If the aircraft's objective was to avoid detection, then this action was entirely reasonable, and making the final destination unpredictable, even when being tracked. Data from the VKF sensor also indicates that the aircraft appeared to decelerate twice during its flight. The process of climbing the stairs could be the reason VKFSPR positions exhibit a peculiar phenomenon. The aircraft appeared to begin flying in a figure-8 pattern around the time between the 6th and 7th handshake. The aircraft is expected to run out of fuel at that time. The brake system on the Boeing 777 aircraft is designed to withstand and manage thrust forces. This imbalance occurred after the engine malfunctioned, rendering the aircraft incapable of performing that maneuver on its own. Therefore, if this action occurs, it is certainly a deliberate decision on the part of the operator. It's hard to guess the reason why someone would act like that. But by then, it was fully daylight and the weather in the area was quite clear. This maneuver was likely performed to determine the positions of nearby operating vessels. Ensure that the location where the aircraft sinks cannot be easily detected. The BFO, Beat Frequency Oscillator, frequency deviation, recorded from the IMAXAT department's data, indicates that the aircraft likely plunged downward at an extremely high rate of speed during its final approach, reaching up to 4,420 meters per minute. However, the plane descending does not mean it plunged straight into the sea. The VCAPSPR data analysis is consistent with the IMAXAT handshakes, and an interesting hypothesis has been proposed. The aircraft's right engine likely caught fire due to a fuel shortage. This could prompt the pilot to start the auxiliary power unit, APU, and open the cross-feed valve to maximize the use of the remaining fuel. Interestingly, the APU scavenge pipe is positioned slightly lower than the engine, allowing it to access and utilize more fuel. After that, the commander likely shut down the remaining engine to maximize the APU's power output. This move aims to ensure all systems and flight control components can operate for the longest possible duration. At the same time, this system also allows for the extension of the slats, a task that cannot be performed without at least one engine or APU in operation. Finally, the recent aircraft incident at Logan Airport lacked data from the in-flight entertainment system, along with several other systems. This can be explained by the fact that if the aircraft is only using power from the APU, less critical systems such as the IF will be shut down to reserve power for more essential systems. The mystery deepened when the first debris was not discovered until July 29, 2015, more than a year after the tragedy. That is a part of the right wing, believed to have drifted to the French island of Réunion, while the main search areas are located in the Indian Ocean, some 3,700 kilometers to the west. This discovery initiated a new phase of searching that lasted for the following 18 months. In total, 26 pieces of debris have been found along the coastlines of several countries, including Tanzania, Mozambique, South Africa, and Madagascar. Among these, 3 fragments have been definitively identified as belonging to MH370, and 17 other fragments are assessed as highly likely to be from the aircraft. Notably, some debris from inside the cabin shows the aircraft was destroyed. However, it is still impossible to determine whether this rupture occurred while the aircraft was still in the air or during its impact with the sea surface. Analysis of fossilized wing specimens discovered on Dianian Island and in Tanzania reveals the aircraft failed to execute a safe landing, meaning the flight ended in chaos. Some experts suggest that the aircraft likely plunged into the water at a near vertical angle, which would explain the wide dispersal of the debris. The idea of a hijacking involving flight MH370 has been widely discussed, with many theories suggesting that someone may have intentionally taken control and diverted the plane from its course. From the moment the aircraft disappeared from radar screens, all key communication systems including ACARS, the signal response unit, and the position reporting system ceased to function. Playing a key role in maintaining communication between aircraft and ground, these systems are designed to ensure no action is missed or questioned. And individually shutting down each of these systems requires in-depth knowledge of the aviation field. The unusual flight path of MH370 further reinforces the hypothesis that the plane suddenly veered west, deviating from its original course to Beijing. The aircraft then flew along the Malay Peninsula, turned south, and continued its journey over the Indian Ocean. These complex flight path changes indicate it was still being actively controlled. However, inspections of passengers and crew did not detect any signs related to terrorism. Initially, the 2 passengers using stolen passports raised suspicion, but authorities later verified they had no connection to the incident. Ultimately, all these hypotheses are just that, hypotheses. The disappearance of flight MH370 is considered one of the greatest mysteries in the history of world aviation. And a painful reminder of the irreplaceable loss of 239 innocent lives. The relentless efforts of scientists and the government in seeking answers have demonstrated a profound humanitarian value. Respect and a sense of responsibility for every individual, regardless of their background or life circumstances. Through each stream of data and every technological advancement, the profoundly mysterious journey of flight MH370 stands as a stark affirmation that, when combined with a strong will and a compassionate heart, science can achieve extraordinary things. We hope that one day soon, the whole truth will be revealed, bringing peace to the victims' families and a valuable lesson for the entire world. Here are some more natural and clearer ways to express this. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to share this video with others who might be interested. Thank you for joining us today, and I'll see everyone in the upcoming videos.